For these questions, we're going to compare fractions. The directions say to use cross multiplication, and that's just a common strategy that people use to compare fractions, and it's done by multiplying the opposite numerator and denominator. Before we look at examples of cross multiplication, I want us to revisit another type of problem that we've been doing, and it's this one where we had to rewrite the fractions and we used the easiest common denominator to do that. So we're going to look at that and look at cross multiplication and see how they're the same. So on cross multiplication, remember you're going to multiply the opposite numerator and denominator. So I could multiply 5 and 2 and get 10, and 3 and 4 and get 12. So that's how cross multiplication would work. But let's go the long way and write out the fractions like we've been doing. So we started with 4/5, and then we found a common denominator. We found the easiest common denominator by multiplying these denominators together. 5 and 3 make 15. So 15 was our new denominator. So then we used multiplication to figure out how we got from fifths to 15. In this case, we multiplied by 3. So we ended up having 5 times 3, and we got 15. Well, what we do on the bottom, we got to do on the top. So then we had 4 times 3, and we got 12. What I really want us to do is pay attention to this top part, the numerator. 4 times 3 is 12. Well, when we did cross multiplication, that's what we got. 4 times 3 is 12. Now 12 is really just the numerator. See how over here 12 is the numerator? If we were to write the denominator, it would be 15, 12/15. But we don't have to worry about writing the denominator because we know that they're going to have the same denominator when we're finished. And so if the denominators are the same, you really just have to look at the numerators to compare them. So that's why we just write the numerator when we do cross multiplication. So let's do the other fraction now, 2/3. So if we have 2/3, we also want to change it to 15 because that was the easiest common denominator. So to get that, we had to multiply 3 by 5 and we would get 15. But for the numerator, we'd also have to multiply by 5 and we'd get 10. And so what we can look at is when we do this part, it's exactly the same as multiplying the opposite numerator and denominator. And we got 10, just like here we got 10. And just like before, this 10 really represents 10/15. But since 12/15 and 10/15 have the same denominator, we don't even have to worry about them. We can just compare the numerators. So now when we look, all we have to do is say what's bigger, 12 or 10? And since 12 is bigger than 10, 4/5 is going to be bigger than 2/3. So cross multiplication is really just a big shortcut for a problem that we've already been doing. So let's do some examples using only cross multiplication. On number 1, we have 9/12 and 1/8. If I multiply across, I have 12 times 1, and that would be 12. And 8 times 9 would be 72. So since 72 is greater than 12, 9/12 is greater than 1/8. So let's do number 2. We have 2 times 3, and that makes 6. And we have 4 times 1, and that makes 4. Since 6 is greater than 4, 3/4 is greater than 1/2. On number 3, we have 10 times 4, and that would be 40. And 5 times 1 would be 5. Since 40 is bigger than 5, 4/5 is greater than 1/10. And we'll do one more example. Here we have 5 times 1 and 4 times 3. Since 12 is greater than 5, 3/5 is going to be the biggest fraction. All right, you try some on your own, and if you need help, you can come back and rewatch the video. Good luck.